culture hero, coming to save us all. You never judged us, taught us to stand up tall. Pop culture hero, taught us to be as one. After the prequels, the healing has begun. Walking the thin line between heaven, earth, and hell. Pop culture hero, saving us from ourselves.
Hey gamers, this is Maniac with Game Access, showing you guys something new of my collection. And what we're going to be talking about right now is the video game anime. Yeah, these are by no means a solid, collection by any means. But the reason why I wanted to bring these up is because I have been seeing a lot of just video game anime tie-ins, especially over the last 10 years. There probably was going on longer than this. I don't know where the origins were. But I've been, it's becoming more and more prevalent, especially given what EA's been doing, to have video game anime tie-ins, or whether they be actual canonical tie-ins, like let's say Halo Legends, reimaginings, like Sin Episodes, or the Dante's Inferno, or continuing stories like Dead Space Aftermath or Dead Space Downfall. There's just all different kinds of anime that and it's I find it visually interesting. Of course, as a kid I like to watch cartoons and things like that, and I have appreciated the more mature cartoons of like South Park and Futurama. But I got a bit of appreciation for this actually, because like with anything with video game related, obviously there's collections that can be involved. And I don't exactly know where the origins of this go to. As far as I know, I think the oldest I can recall is probably the Street Fighter anime, which was extremely controversial and was censored in this country. It was, I believe, released, unreleased, eventually, uncensored. But obviously, I don't have that in my collection. I know there have been several Street Fighter anime series. Some of those have ended up on like the Sci-Fi Channel, and some of those have ended up on like Adult Swim and things like that. I'm pretty certain. I haven't seen any of these ever played on television, but I thought it was kind of interesting. Obviously the cream of my collection has got to be the Sin DVD. I did some research on this. The first actual film done by the defunct ADV Studios. Before then, ADV Studios was considered to be mostly, I guess, they would re-release pretty much all the anime for a while was all being done by ADV Films. It was all being brought to the United States through ADV Films. This was the first one they produced themselves, and it was originally made for an English audience. This was very difficult to get my hands on because I lucked out. The last copy of the last order, the last place I could find it, this is the collector's edition, which I believe was re-released in 2005. The difference between this one and the original release, which was released in 2000, this has the soundtrack included with it, the music CD. It's really not that great. It's not canonical to the game series, but I really like the Sin games a lot, and it was definitely a watchable movie. I enjoyed it tremendously. Next one in my collection I want to show you is Dead Space Downfall. This is a Blu-ray. This is not a DVD. This is the prequel movie to the original Dead Space game. That's for the PC, PS3, and Xbox 360. This has got a great art style to it. I loved how this anime looked, and it is completely canonical to the game. This movie takes place just before the game starts. It kind of ties into there's some references in Dead Space Extraction Wii game and PS3 game to some things in here, like the main character is Alyssa Vincent, who is mentioned in Extraction. There are some other things you get to see. It's a good game. It's a good thing. There's some pretty cool special features to this, which is why I like it so much. So did Sin. Sin also had a really good series of collectible stuff. Like there was some behind-the-scenes stuff, interviews with like the Lev Lord and some of the game designers and things like that, where they talked about that. So I got to give these ones really good. I have to give these ones really solid recommendations. Obviously, because it's a Blu-ray, I recommend getting the Blu-ray because the high definition gives it great fidelity. It just looks great. Next one I wanted to show you was Dante's Inferno. This one was different than what I was expecting. This came out on the same day that the Dante's Inferno game came out for the PS3 and the Xbox 360. It was done by a lot of the same development houses that worked on the Dead Space Downfall Blu-ray. This was released on Blu-ray and on DVD. The difference being that this, instead of being like I kind of was expecting a prequel story, this was basically a reimagining of the whole game. It was a bit longer. It was a bit more detailed than what was going on in the game. Very story driven. It mixed up the art styles, whereas opposed to, let's say, with Sin and with Dead Space Downfall, the art style was constant because it was done by the same development house. This, with every few levels of hell, got a different art style because it was done by a different development house. So visually, it was kind of hit or miss. But for the most part, I appreciated it most of the time, but it wasn't constant throughout the whole thing. And I thought for a constant video, it should have been constant. But it worked pretty well. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. I don't remember really. Yeah, there really weren't any special features on this. There were just like two. There was the trailer and the animatics, and that was it. It wasn't very much. There were no interviews. There was no documentaries. You know, for a collector's item like this, you really want to have like release a collector's information and things like that. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is the Halo Legends Blu-ray. This is the Steelbook Blu-ray that was released exclusive to Best Buy. It's got a great Steelbook, and the Blu-ray is inside. The cool thing about this one was that this was freaking amazing. This was released last year, sometime before, in March last year. There were 7 episodes in it, I believe, if I remember correctly. 6 of which done by different development houses. One did two different parts. It had a very similar style to what Warner Bros. Had done earlier with the Animatrix and things like that. There were each a different story, and each was told by a different development house. There were some backgrounds and history backgrounds there, and then there were just some side stories, and then there was one funny story. And the funny one was actually relatively funny. This also had to it two of the best Halo documentaries I've actually ever seen. This was released on Blu-ray, DVD, and a 2-disc DVD set. The 2-disc DVD set did not have the 2 documentaries on it that I loved so tremendously. The history of the Halo series and the impact of the Halo series documentaries. Those were so good. If you don't have that, I really feel sorry for you, because those were just as good documentaries as the videos themselves. Yeah, this was definitely a positive buy. If you ask me, everybody had their own favorite episode. Some people liked the Odd One Out best. Some people liked the history of one's best. For me, Prototype. That's my favorite, in case you were curious. This was Dead Space Aftermath on Blu-ray. This was released recently. This was released the same day as Dead Space 2. This game takes place between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2. I think it kind of just follows shortly after the end of Dead Space 1. It is all. This is very similar to Dante's Inferno in the fact that it does change the art styles as the movie progresses, because different development houses did different art styles. The difference being that actually they kind of set it into the story how this would fit. So even though it's not a constant art style throughout the game, I should say throughout the movie, it's really good actually, because it actually has a logical thing, which I won't spoil. A lot of people didn't like the CGI effects. That's obviously an aesthetic thing, but they like the conventional 2D animation. That's totally up to them. They're more than welcome to like that. This one right here, the Devil May Cry series, this is a box set. These are the DVDs. This was a bit of an interesting one for my collection, because the first DVD was actually released without a case and without a box set sometime before when Devil May Cry came out, or I should say Devil May Cry 4 came out in the collector's edition. You could basically pay like $3 to the publishing house, and get a case along with it. And when episode 2 came out, when disc 2 came out, you could get the disc as well as the boxed copy itself. The reason why I don't have, as you can see, I only have parts 1 and parts 2, and there are 3 parts to the series. There's a very good reason, actually. They decided to be bastards, and they re-released after all this went through. They released the whole series on Blu-ray, and I just was like, I'm going to either buy episode 3 standalone and put it in the collection, or just wait for the Blu-ray to come out. And if I can't get the Blu-ray, no big deal. So I honestly was very disappointed by this because, you know, I feel like I got cheated out of the Blu-ray. I went through all that trouble to get the box set complete, and then they announced, oh, we're going to release the whole series on Blu-ray. So there's really not too much. I mean, obviously this is a whole series. There were several episodes of, I believe there was 5 episodes per disc. And you can get the box set from the from the publisher or through your own anime retailer. But that was a major disappointment. I'd rather just recommend get the Blu-ray. So these are the animes, but I just want to say that there are actually some other things that have been released, which is kind of an extension of that. And that's the CGI movies, actually. This is Resident Evil Degeneration on Blu-ray. This was done as kind of a sequel to Resident Evil 4, I believe. It stars the hero Leon Kennedy. It takes place. There's some pretty relatively good special features through using Blu-ray 2.0. And of course, Final Fantasy VII, which was extremely highly anticipated. It was done by the Final Fantasy team, the guys who made Final Fantasy Spirits Within, but this actually had something to do with Final Fantasy. I have the DVD release here. There is a Blu-ray now available. They've released. I'm fine with just the DVD. I really don't have much interest in the Blu-ray, although the Blu-ray does come with a copy of like a demo of the Final Fantasy 13 demo. So there's my video game anime collection. It's by no means a complete list. I know that there's been tons of releases of Street Fighter animes and different series and things like that that I just don't have. That's my bad on that one. But and there very well might actually be older anime series and other anime series that I haven't. This is just what I was able to accumulate over the last couple of years. Obviously, I would not say that the Sin DVD is probably my oldest and my proudest part of the collection, even though that movie wasn't that, you know, that it wasn't canonical to the Sin series. It was his own series, but you know, it was a relatively good anime. Well, that's all I had to show you guys. I've not really noticed too much. This stuff has really taken off over the last 2 years, certainly after Downfall came out. But I would like to say I'm noticing that a lot of comic book series are actually being released now. Maybe a graphic novel is going to be the next anime. Who knows? Well, this is Maniac with Game Access. Over and out. What's the world?